You want to move to Barcelona. Here are 10 things that you must know before you move here. Today we're gonna dive into the top 10 things that I would share with any friend, anybody who asks me what they need to know before they move to this beautiful city. These are all things that I've learned over the last 2.5 years of living in Barcelona. To give you a little bit more context of where I'm coming from, I'm Canadian, but I've been living and traveling abroad for the last 9 years now, and the last 6 years have actually been on the Iberian Peninsula. My time has been split between Spain and Portugal. So I spent 2 years in Portugal, specifically in Lisbon, and the rest of the time was in Barcelona and in the south of Spain. For the last 2.5 years, I have been in Barcelona, and I've actually moved twice. So 2 different apartments. And make sure you subscribe because this is the beginning of a bunch of new Barcelona videos coming out. All right, let's dive into how to find a flat. This is a very commonly asked question that I get. There are 2 ways you can go about it. One is going through an agency, and something that you need to know and how it works is that you're going to be paying 1 month's rent, sometimes 2. Also a deposit. Your deposit might be 1 or 2 months rent. And the big kicker with an agency is you're going to give them an agency fee, and that money you do not get back. So for example, we just moved into this brand new apartment that we're in now. We really love it. We just signed the papers. This is our flat. We paid first month's rent, 2 months deposit because we have a dog, and that's what we agreed on with the landlord. And then we also gave 1 month's rent to the agency. That we don't get back.
Like never, ever, 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 ever.
And of course the rent we don't get back. That's just money being thrown out the window to some landlord who purchased the flat many, many years ago and capitalized on that opportunity. If you're looking for a business investment, here you go, buy a flat in Barcelona. And the second option is Idealista, and this is honestly what we've used both times that we've looked for flats. So this one, and when we moved during the pandemic. Idealista is my favorite, honestly, because it's very easy to use, very user-friendly. You can put in all of your parameters. You can put in your budget. I like to put in that we have a dog, so that usually narrows the scope quite a bit. With most of these, they're going to be through an agency as well. But there is an opportunity here through Idealista to find what we call a particular, so a private offering. So somebody just decided to not go through an agency and they're doing all of the work behind the scenes, doing the visitations with you, and you don't get charged that agency fee with them. Now, when it comes to looking for a place that will accept your pet, it can be challenging, but don't give up. If your dog is well behaved and you have that track record that you could prove, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to get a flat. So to give you an idea, the 2 places that we've lived in here, they did not allow dogs, but we negotiated with them and we proved that our dog Bella is very well behaved, and we even offered for the landlords to meet previous landlords who can attest to that. And every time it's been okay. And they've even met Bella and they just loved her. And we set up our contract particular to us having a dog. Now, I will do a video about the cost of living and break down everything from our apartments, how much everything costs now in 2023 compared to when I last did the video in 2021. So just keep your eyes out for that. Where are you going to live? Which neighborhood should you live in? Which part of Barcelona? My personal favorite spot of Barcelona to live in would be Pobleno. It's got a great vibe. It's very quiet. There's lots of things to do around. It's easily accessible to the beach, the metro. You've got tons of options. The only thing with Pobleno is it's often very difficult to find an apartment.
There's always a catch.
I have some friends who really love being in the city center, love having access to everything, being close to tons of really cool bars, the shopping centers, and their work, of course. So this would be the Eixample area. It can be touristy and a little bit noisy though. Here you're gonna have higher prices compared to other parts. If you go a little farther north into Gracia, it's got this really fun, hip vibe. If you do have a dog though, just know that there's a lot of cement and very little green parks around. And these flats tend to be a lot smaller, but the trade-off is living in a really cool neighborhood. Now, there are two areas that I personally always tell people to kind of avoid. I have met people who have lived in these areas and they love it. So that would be El Gótico and El Raval. These two areas are very crammed, very noisy. They are more affordable, so the prices are some of the lowest that you'll see when you're searching. But personally, I just think it's a bit of a waste of your money. If you're gonna be moving to Barcelona, you might as well live in a nice area. Just my opinion though, and we'll get back to these specific barrios later in the video when we touch on safety. I've got a really nice neighborhood map with a breakdown of each neighborhood, what it's good for, some things to keep in mind when you're searching. I'll leave that in a link down below to my website so you can download it, access it for free whenever you want. I'm gonna give it to you straight, my friends. One of my least favorite things is navigating bureaucracy. One thing that you're gonna need to have a lot of anytime you're dealing with any bureaucratic process here in Barcelona or in Spain in general is a lot of patience. And you're going to want to make sure that you're very well organized. And my recommendation is if you have the opportunity to prepare any of this before you actually move here, do as much as you can from home. That's actually what I did 6 years ago. I went through the Canadian Embassy and I got my NIA number, which made it so much easier for the rest of the processes once I got to Spain. Now, do you need to speak Spanish to be able to do a lot of these processes? I would say it's a huge benefit if you can speak Spanish or if you can go to your appointments with someone who does. I think the process probably goes a lot faster for those people, but there are lots of agents who do speak English and you can get by in Barcelona with only English. Or of course, if you speak Catalan, I bet you'll get through a lot farther and a lot faster. So if you are planning on working while you're in Barcelona and finding a job is on your priority list, I have a few things that you should know. Your two best bets are going to be LinkedIn and Indeed. There are some websites that are gonna ask you to pay a fee for them to help you find a job. You don't need any of that nonsense, I'm sorry. Just ignore that and use these two search engines. When it comes to the interview process and whether it's in English or in Spanish, it completely depends on the job. And just because the job posting is in English doesn't mean that the interview is going to be in English. I had a job interview where the job posting was in English, I would be working in English, but the interview was in Spanish. So when in doubt, just ask. I'm sure the recruiter will be able to help you out. And if you are a freelancer, there are tons of co-works throughout the city, beautiful places that you can go, you can meet other people just like you and have a nice work environment. But there's options for everyone. Is Barcelona safe? Well, just like any other major big city in the world, you're gonna have to have your wits about you, of course. There are a lot of pickpockets, especially on public transit, not just on the moving vehicle itself, but also in the stations. There are also places, especially touristy places, that you have to be very conscious of pickpockets. One of the most notorious places is going to actually be the Rambla near Plaza Catalunya. Whether you are a tourist or you're a local who looks like a tourist, exhibit me, you still have to be very cautious because you're gonna get to see and you're gonna recognize once you're here who's looking at you.
What are you looking at?
How they look at you to see if you're paying attention to what you're doing with your valuables. Another thing to watch out for, other than just pickpockets, is actually snatchers. I don't know if that's a technical term, but I've kind of just come up with that now. So if you are walking in the street and maybe you're texting or you're, I don't know, taking a photo, but the point is your attention is not in your surroundings and somebody comes and they whip the phone out of your hands and they run away. This has happened to several of my friends, and honestly, what I do now is either I'm not texting and walking, or I actually hold it like this and I grip it pretty hard. If I need to text, or I have both hands like this, because I don't like getting my shit stolen from me. So there are 3 areas that are notorious for pickpockets, snatches, and jumpings. And that would be El Raval, El Gótico, and the Bezos area that is not brand new. You'll know the difference when you get to these areas. Be especially careful if you're planning to go out in these areas, because there's a lot of really cool bars often. That's why there are a lot of people going to these areas and these kinds of things happen. And if you are drinking, make sure you have your best practices in check already. Now, of course, it can happen in broad daylight. I've been walking around in El Gótico and heard someone screaming because someone stole something from them. It can happen at any time, anywhere in the city, just like any other major city. Just be aware and practice some of these things, and I'm sure you will be fine. Now, ladies, there are parts where you will get catcalled, and now that I know them, I completely avoid them because it disgusts me, and I don't want anybody to feel that way. So I'm gonna share with you El Raval. Every time that I have gone there, even if it's just for some delicious Mexican food, I get catcalled and harassed, and it sucks. So maybe by me sharing it with you, you can avoid those areas or just go in a group. I hope this really helped, and I hope it didn't freak anybody out, but it is a common question that I get asked, and I think the more we share about these kinds of things, the better we'll get. So we are halfway through, my friends. We have 5 more important topics for us to cover. So I make videos and create content for a living. This is my job. If you are looking to support this channel and have more videos like this made for you, you can support with a super thanks or a buy me a coffee if you prefer that. Or if you want to take it to the next level and join me on Patreon, I have an amazing community there, and it's a great opportunity if you really want to get one-to-one contact and direct contact with me to ask me all of your burning questions about Barcelona. I can help you with your move. If you would like to get those benefits and support this content in that way through Patreon, check out the links in the description below. Thank you so much for even considering. All right, one of my favorite things to talk about is expat life. What is it actually like to live here as an expat? There are going to be some major changes in your life because of the culture, because of just the way things are done in the country and in Barcelona. So something that I personally really love is that there are 3 opportunities for languages. So a lot of people will speak English. So if you don't have any other language, or you have English and, I don't know, Swedish, no problem. You can still get by and you can still find lots of friends and great places and cool things to do in that language. But what I really like is that you can learn Spanish and Catalan. Now just remember that they speak both here. Sometimes you will have the case where if you're speaking Spanish to somebody, they might respond to you in Catalan. This is completely normal within Barcelona, and even when you travel farther out, maybe on a day trip or on a weekend trip within Catalonia, you'll see people talking to you in Catalan. Sometimes people just don't speak Spanish very well and they prefer to speak to you in Catalan. They assume that you understand it. But just acknowledging that both of these languages and cultures are important will get you a lot farther in Barcelona. A huge change that I had to adapt to was actually when I eat dinner. So I was used to eating dinner very early, around, I guess, 6:30. That's just how it was. Here it's quite different. So normally now I don't actually have dinner until 9, sometimes 10. And when I'm going out with friends and we're going for tapas, which is just, in case you don't know, they're just like little portions of food, or sometimes big portions of food, but you kind of share with everybody. You have them later in the evening, and that's just kind of the way it is. So if you are going out to a restaurant, what you'll normally see for their horarios, for their hours, for their schedule, is they'll be open from 12 until 4 or 12 until 5. That's pretty late actually. And then they'll have a few hours to kind of reset for the dinner rush, which normally things will open again around 7 or 8. There's a lot of amazing things for you to see, do, and experience. You could seriously spend an entire lifetime here and always find something new. And since I am a dog mama, I've also noticed that people are very loving and friendly towards dogs. There are, of course, some people who don't like them, but when I say this, I mean there are lots of cafes, restaurants, and even shopping centers that will allow you to go in with your dog, which for me is really special because she's my baby. It really is a great place to live, especially if you like city life. Getting around the city and actually around Catalonia and having Barcelona as your hub is amazing. So you've got your metro, buses, trams, you've got the whole kit and caboodle, really.
Yes, Don, the whole kit and caboodle.
But you've also got what are called cercanías, and these are trains that go to close places around Catalonia. And what's really cool is that in 2023, they have actually a reduced price per trimester. So every trimester you have the opportunity to pay, I believe it's 10 euros, and then you get access to all of the Rodali's trains throughout Catalonia for that 10 euros, but you have to be a resident. So if you can get everything sorted out, you'll be able to do that and explore lots of really cool places. Another cool option is if you don't want to buy a scooter or a car or even rent, you can get an e-Cultra, which is super awesome. So you just get an app, you sign up through that, and then all throughout the city you will have the e-Cultras and you can buzz around in the city like that. Or of course you can pay an annual fee of 50 euros and you can use the bicing. I need to talk about it because somebody's got to talk about it. The water in Barcelona is 100% safe to drink. Do I drink the tap water on a daily basis though? No.
How about no?
Not anymore. When I first moved here, I thought, yes, I'm gonna drink tap water. It's free, it's not delicious, but it's good, it's safe, perfect. After a few months of drinking the tap water consistently, and I drink a lot of water, I drink probably 2 of these a day, and I found that I was starting to get like some weird things, like my hair was getting really dried out, and I would have like this weird coating in my mouth and my throat and my teeth. There's a lot of lime, or what they say in Spanish, cal. So there's a lot of lime in the water and it's very hard. You might get some unpleasant effects. So now I actually drink filtered water every day. So we've got 2 left, and these are 2 very important, very big ones. So the first thing, the very first thing that you should do when you arrive in Spain, in Barcelona, is to get a SIM card. Why? Because you're going to need it for absolutely everything. When you go to look for apartments, you're gonna want to have a local number to make those phone calls and see if you can set up appointments. If you have a foreign number or a foreign area code, they won't answer. You will also need your number to set up your bank account. So assuming you have all of the rest of your documentation, you will need your phone number to set everything else up. You don't necessarily need to get a monthly payment plan right off the bat. You can also get a nice top-up card, a pay-as-you-go kind of system, which that's what I did when I first moved to Spain. I got my pay-as-you-go, and then once I got everything set up, then I switched to a monthly contract. The other thing that is very important for you to get as soon as possible, if you didn't have the opportunity to get it beforehand, is your NIA. If you can get it before you come, that's the best. But if not, get it as soon as you get here, or get the appointment as soon as you arrive, or even before you arrive, because the NIA is your key to pretty much everything. Lastly, I think one of the most important things to building your life anywhere that you move to is your community. So I will be the first to say that most of my friends are expats or Spaniards. It's very difficult to break into a Catalan clique. Some of the places that I've met my friends, or I have ongoing relationships with people that I like to chat with, other than the barista down the street, CrossFit, yoga studios, comedy clubs, co-works, There are so many options for you to meet people here in Barcelona because there's so many different activities that you can do. And there's so many groups. Facebook isn't entirely dead. There's another really great place called Meetup. There's a group in particular for hikers if you like to go for walks, be out in nature, explore new places around Catalonia or even in the nearby parts of Barcelona. And honestly, the biggest one and the way I've met most of my friends and the greatest connections is actually through social media.
Seriously.
All the best of luck in this move. And if you do have any questions, please pop them in the comments down below. Come over to Instagram, or if none of those things are your favorites, send me an email. You can find it on my channel. Or hey, come over to the Patreon community. I would love to help you with your move and for you to be a part of the community as well. The last thing I want to say is if you are someone who really wants to make this dream life happen in Barcelona, but maybe you're nervous, you're not sure how to go about it, you don't know what steps to do, how to make a move like this happen, how to even go through a life-changing process like this, I created this online course that walks you through every step of the way, from all of the research, planning, cost of living, budgeting, finding a job, building your life, dealing with culture shock, every single step that it takes to get from where you are now, nervous about a move, to living and thriving in your dream life, in your dream city. If that is something that you would like to do, I made this course for people just like you. So check it out in the link below. With that, my friends, I wish you a fantastic day. Here in Barcelona, the reason I'm actually filming in my apartment is because there is a massive windstorm outside. It's crazy. You would not even be able to hear me through the mic. So anyways, I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next one. Take care, my friends.